Welcome to the Prophecy Club. I got some very important information to bring you today. I'm probably not even going to get through all of it, but I'll try. Okay, first of all, let me refresh your memory. We're counting down the days at the counting of the Omer. The counting of the Omer is the 49 days between Firstfruits and Pentecost, which is April 25th this year or June 13th this year. These 49 days here. This is the counting of the Omer. And by the time you're watching this, I'm making this Monday afternoon, and this is going to be the Tuesday broadcast. So at this point, there will be 38 days remaining in the counting of the Omer. Now, why is that important? Well, let me go through Leslie's dream, and let me tell you the keys to understand it before we get to the dream. So there will be no question what it's saying. So in April 2002, Arafat was not allowed outside of his compound. So this is a very risky and big prophecy to put out, yet it came to pass. The woman in this that has hearing problems is the church. There will be many, including Christians, who will be thrilled with Israel's giving the Arabs, the Muslims, a declared state. They will think, yay, finally, peace. The woman has a hard time hearing about end-time events and will have a hard time hearing about prophecies of oil in Israel. Only a small remnant will hear and understand. The people in it are the world. The people in the outside waiting room area, she's about to talk about, who didn't care or understand the significance of what we were saying, represents the world. People of the world do not want to hear the warning. They do not want to hear the truth. They just want to live their life and have fun. Peace will only be a smoke screen and for only a short time. Oil will spring forth, she says, and cause the Jews from around the world to return and fight for their land. In that Hayseed and Mary Jean Stevens are both in the dream means that the vision given to Hayseed to find oil in Israel will somehow be fulfilled. And, of course, I believe that I am the one that's carrying that anointing, that call to carry Hayseed's vision to find oil in Israel. Okay, so the dream. April 15th, Leslie says, I dreamt and I saw Mary Jean Stevens at a meeting. Mary Jean is Hayseed Stevens' wife. Hayseed is the man that God told the world's largest oil field is located at the southwest end of the Dead Sea. Mary Jean was not scheduled to speak and minister, but we had ministered together at the Perfect Touch Women's Conference, and I asked her to minister with me. We ministered to many people. While we were ministering, Mary Jean got a call from Hayseed. He said, Mary Jean, you need to get home. War is about to break out here in Israel. Now, Hayseed was already dead at this point, and so I think it may be saying that by the time this happens, his wife will also gone home, and I probably should have looked it up, see if she's still alive, but I didn't. She came over to me and told me what Hayseed said and then left to go home. That night after the meeting, I saw myself sleeping. I had a dream within a dream. I saw a news report on television that announced that Israel had given the Palestinians a state. I heard the Lord say, you must tell everyone that oil is going to come forth soon. Now, let me just say something. There have been reports that there's oil discovered right off the coast of Gaza. And of course, we know that there's massive amounts of gas discovered out in the Mediterranean. I don't think it's talking about either one of those. I think it's talking about the massive amounts of oil that will be found in Israel that's going to dry the wells of the surrounding nations all around Israel. That will be the hook in the jaw, drawing them down to attack Israel, where Jesus is going to destroy them at Armageddon. I heard the Lord say, you must tell everyone that oil is going to come forth soon. It will cause the Jewish people to fight back for the land. Then I heard the Lord say, let Baltimore know. Now, we still do not know what Baltimore know. We do not understand what that means. Yes, Baltimore is where the bridge was just hit and just fell. I don't know. We're watching. I knew this could very easily start a global war. I believe it is. It's going to be talking about Armageddon. I asked the Lord, why Baltimore? Then I woke from the second dream into my first dream. I began to tell Stan what the Lord had said. Stan said, Leslie, there are a lot of people we must tell. We met a man, now here's the important part. We met a man that was high in position, having both power and knowledge concerning what was truly going on in Israel. As I began to tell this man my dream, he said, for some reason, we are to tell Baltimore. Let me say it again. As I began to tell this man my dream, I said, for some reason, we are to tell Baltimore. So, Baltimore, you folks there, listen up. For whatever reason, I don't know. I asked him, why Baltimore? He said, because there's a lot of Jewish people who live in Baltimore. I said to him, Stan and I will be in Baltimore in a couple of months to do a crusade, and we were. There were about 8 of us that were in the room discussing my dream. We needed to find out a place to talk. The man told us to follow him. Everyone was eager to find out more about this dream. We all walked through what appeared to be an airport waiting area. Now, this comes an important part here. As I walked through, I noticed a lot of Jewish people. I could tell by the way they were talking and visiting. As I passed by one woman, I noticed she was reading a small newspaper like the Jerusalem Post. Now, that does not say that the Jerusalem Post will be the newsletter or the newspaper that will carry the headline, Omer Ushers in Palestinian State. But between me and you, I'm going to keep close eyes on that over the next 38 days, because in that, it was mentioned in the dream that is the highest probability to be the newspaper that actually carries the headline, Omer Ushers in Palestinian State. As I passed by one woman, I noticed she was reading a small newspaper like the Jerusalem Post. I was drawn to what she was saying, and I heard her say with an accent, Arafat is in the hospital. She didn't say why, however, she was happy to hear he was in the hospital. We made our way through the crowd into a small room used for an office. Inside the small room was a woman, remember the woman of the church, already sitting there, so the church can hear what we're saying in the program. At least the sound waves hit their ears, but they don't understand. Part of it is they don't want to understand because they're going in a pre-trib rapture. We don't need to know about any of this stuff. Inside the small room was a woman already sitting there. She was an older woman, would not get up to let us meet privately. However, as we began to talk and visit, she would say, huh? We finally decided she just couldn't hear very well, so we just let her sit there and went on with our meeting. True, church can't seem to hear this stuff. They don't want to hear this stuff. All I'm going to do is have a good time. We shut the small sliding door behind us. The man we followed into the room said, don't worry about the people outside the waiting room. Even if they can hear us, they will not understand and think what we're saying is foolishness anyway. And I think that's the reason a lot of people don't listen to Prophecy Club and the things we put out, because they think it's foolishness. But, of course, their day of understanding is coming. We've had so much more information than they do and a deeper understanding of what's really going on, they will not pay us any attention. True, that's what's happening right now. Once inside, this man with high connections in Israel said, all right, Leslie, tell me your dream. I told him that Israel will give the Palestinians a state, but it would be a temporary arrangement to give the Jews enough time to regroup and get their armed forces prepared. I think that that's what's about to happen at the end of this Israel-Gaza war. I think Israel is going to see that their enemies are strong all around them, but they aren't strong enough to defeat them. And then, of course, our Congress appropriates money for Israel, but Biden won't send over the arms. So, I mean, when you got evil in charge, good can't seem to get anything done, and that's where we are. Israel will give the Palestinians a state, but it'll be a temporary arrangement to give the Jews enough time to regroup and get their armed forces prepared. I told him oil will come forth quickly. The discovery of large amounts of oil will make all the Jewish people willing to fight for the land. Now, I think that's interesting because Turkey has cut off their oil. Also, the Houthis have cut off Israel's oil. So if Israel is going to survive, it's got to find basically oil inside Israel. And that's exactly what I believe is about to happen. Israel and America will go against most of the Arab world. It will lead to a major war, I believe it's Armageddon. Almost like the whole world will get involved in this war. It will include many countries. Yes, that's the reason the Euphrates River dries up. All the nations from the east come over to attack. Basically, all of the nations, all surrounding Israel, all attack Israel all at once, and Jesus returns and defeats them in a moment, at the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. Now, This is what I've showed you many, many times, and I just put that up for your perusal so you can refresh your memory. But now let me go to the next thing. Then, January 22 of '06, and you've seen this many times, this is where the audible voice told her, and the first thing she heard was actually, Israel refuses help to America. I put them in this order because this is the only way it makes sense to me that they could come to pass. Omer Ushers in Palestinian State, in my opinion, if this is the year, and I'm giving it a 90% chance, because we don't know. I mean, maybe Israel gives the Palestinians a state and America's not twisting Israel's arm. So it's possible we could see Omer Ushers in Palestinian State and no earthquake. I think that's highly unlikely. That's the reason I'm giving it a 90% chance. So we see the newspaper headline, probably, before June 14th of this year. I hope you're hearing. Probably, I said 90% chance. Omer Ushers in Palestinian State. And then if God does what he's done in the past, when we bless Israel, generally within 24 hours we get a blessing. If we curse Israel, within 24 hours we get a curse. So if he continues to follow that pattern, I would say shortly, within a day or two or a week of that official Palestinian state being given, we can probably look for the headline Catastrophe Hits America, which probably, based upon several prophecies, is the New Madrid earthquake. One of America's greatest times of need. Israel refuses help to America. Then, I believe it'll be sometimes later, after oil is discovered and after the military in Israel is built up, then Israel is attacked, America sends troops, chaos reigns as Americans protest help to Israel. Now, this is in way happening now. And we don't know the exact order. And so I cannot say absolutely positively that it's number 6. It could be that number 6, matter of fact, I probably need to do a search on those words and see if that is already a newspaper headline. It could be. And I'm sure some of you folks out there would do a search on chaos reigns as Americans protest help to Israel. Then she heard my voice quoting Dmitri Duduman, the fall of America will start with an internal revolution. I don't think the internal revolution is going to start this year, but it's possible. It's possible. All right, now, June 14th, because you may be saying, yeah, well, Stan, how do you know this and this are really from God? Here's the answer. June 14th of 2008, I heard the audible voice of God say that night, when those prophecies I gave your wife began to come to pass, people from all directions would begin to turn and listen to your ministry. And he showed me a vision of Leslie standing in front of our fireplace, physically holding up these newspapers with these headlines. So, the Bible says in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let a thing be established. So I can confirm she heard from God. So the question is whether it all happens this year. Now, let me just tie this together, and I've talked about this many times. I'm going to make it quick because I've got so much to cover. Chris Reed had this vision where an angel visited him and tore off a third of a $50 bill. Then people started handing him newspaper headlines. U.S. dollar drops 30% in value. Middle Eastern oil strikes with China instead of the U.S. That has not been fulfilled. But in my opinion, we could see that here in the next few months, probably 2024. The perfect storm. All right, now hang on. What's the perfect storm? A perfect storm is not just one storm. It's at least 3, typically 4 different storms hitting the same time. Meaning, I believe what it's saying is that several of these hit America all at once. In other words, the dollar drops, inflation reaches new high, there's a food shortage crisis, wheat bread imports are a stalemate, riots and civil unrest, and citizens demand entitlements, then an earthquake happens. That's 5 things happen all at once. Those may very well happen all at once. And Israel and Palestine 2-state solution reached. If this is the year of that Israeli-Palestinian 2-state solution, or Omer Ushers in Palestinian State headline, if this is the year, then in order, that would mean dollar drops, perfect storm, food shortage, riots, civil unrest, entitlement checks, earthquake all happens probably before the end of June. 90% chance. Then, because the Israeli-Palestinian two-state solution is Omer Ushers in Palestinian State, probably the next day or two or three, probably within a week, that's again 90% chance, a major earthquake. So what I'm saying is these first six prophecies, if they are fulfilled in the same order that they were given, we could see the first six fulfilled by the end of June. 90% chance. Now, do I know? No, I don't know for certain. But being a good watchman, that's what we're doing. We're watching. Now, let me skip on because I've got a lot to cover. Refresh your memory. Dmitri was told the fall of America will start with an internal revolution. Could it be that these riots on the campuses over Palestinians, the difference between Palestinian and Israel, could it be that this is the internal revolution? I don't think so, but it's certainly heading in that direction. Started by the communists, some of the people will start fighting against the government. It certainly smacks of it. Now, hang on. Let me point out, Dmitri was exiled to America July 22nd, 1984. He actually arrived here August 3rd, 1984, and the angel was very specific, telling him 4 years in advance exactly the year, month, day, and hour he would be exiled. So that makes me think that he was sent here on a specific timetable. So that makes me think all of this is on a specific timetable. Now, if it is, if you add 40 years to August 3rd right here, it comes up August 3rd of 2024. Now, I'm not saying that the internal revolution is going to start August 3rd, 2024. However, if I had to watch it for a specific date, that would be a very, very good date to be watching because that may very well be the day it starts. So that's not the day the Russians attack with bombs. It's just that's the thing that starts it. And with Trump on trial and everything, it certainly started by the communists. Now, let me jump to John Kilpatrick. Now, we have 14 such prophecies. John was shown a vision of a financial storm, 1, a new earthquake, 2, and the earthquake will come because of America's actions dividing the land of Israel by the creation of a Palestinian state at the pressure of the U.S. policy, 3, Israel belongs to the Lord, and if you divide his land, he will divide your land. If you look at what the prophets are saying, America could see a massive earthquake, and when the earthquake comes, according to Shane Warren and a couple others, that's going to be a great revival. That's tied together with a great wealth transfer. Now, hang on. Let's go on. Chris Reed, March 22. I'm just skipping part of it. Remember where he said dollar drops 30%? In that same dream, he said, I heard the angel say, so goes Israel, so goes America. Okay, so America just cut off sending appropriated money and ammunition to Israel. What is happening to America? Well, we're getting our ammunition cut off because we're sending it all over to Ukraine. And I've not heard one thing about us in some kind of a massive buildup to replace it. That's the reason I suggest you go to josephkitchen.com, because if you use the promo code PROPHECY, you get free shipping if you have an order $800 or more, and this expires May 15th. So you want to go there real quick. Free shipping till May 15th, josephkitchen.com. Moving on. Now let's talk about the rebirth of America or the internal revolution. Chris Reed was told the eclipse of 2024 is triggering an awakening starting in April 2024. Okay, so we're already in May. And it lasts until July 2025. So could it be that the things that we're seeing, the eclipse, along with the riots over Israel and Palestine, and then could it be we're about to see the dollar fall 30%? Are we about to see that perfect storm? Perfect storm normally is at least 4, I would even say at least 3 events happening all at the same time. I was moving fast in time of the dream starting in April 2024, associated with the eclipse over Texas. It seemed Texas was pulled in at the same time around April 2024. Metaphorically, at conception, happened at this time and coincided with the eclipse, leading to some serious event happened in the nation before the elections in 2024. Okay, so we know that the bad guys are absolutely positively not going to let Trump get in the office in a kind sort of way. So what's going to happen? This event, we don't know what it is. It could be an eclipse, or it could be an internal revolution. It could be the fall of the dollar. It could be a new Madrid earthquake. This event caused absolute chaos and affected the elections in the U.S. in November 2024. It also kind of smacks of an internal revolution, doesn't it? It seemed like an epic October surprise and pandemonium ensued. In the dream, I knew that President Biden had fizzled out, and they had tried hard to prop him up, but this event right before the election caused a major division of America right before and during the election time. It intensified the division already in the nation to a very scary and intense level. Then the dream shifted. I was in 1968. I'm going to skip this part. You can read if you want to. I'm going to skip this part too. I've already read it, so you can read it again if you want to. There's complications before and after the birth. Since the conception begins around April, around 9 months later, the baby of a new nation, America, is being born. Now that's the key. Here's what I want you to see. Around January of 2025, he says there's going to be a new nation born. I'm going to skip that part. You can read it if you want to. I'll skip that part and read it if you want to. I'll skip that part if you skip that part. I want to get to this. Now, this is the second confirmation. They've divided my land. Now I'll divide your land. This is part of what I need to show you. Now, this is from Shane Warren. I saw the church arise with healing in the wings for this moment. I saw God, listen carefully, prospering greatly, many acquiring things, and a transfer of wealth coming into the hands of believers. That's all I want to read there. Let's keep going. So I sent the thing that I'm about to read to you today, which is from Benjamin Fulford, over to my white hat banker friend. And trust me, this guy he's not your normal banker. He's got very, very high connections. And I've met him, I trust him, I've talked to him many times on the phone. So I asked him about the article I'm about to read. This was his answer. So I'm reading his opinion before we get to the article. Stan, as I read the attached article, I would suggest that it is somewhat accurate. I agree with him. I don't always agree with everything Hal Turner says. However, or no, not Hal Turner, Benjamin Fulford. However, the issue suggesting Israel will cease to exist is not accurate, correct. God will not allow that or the White Hat Alliance, nor the issue of the North American consolidation at this time. This is, however, a plan possibly for many years in the future, and that's one of the headlines given to John Paul Jackson. Regarding the White Hats having won the war, that is basically accurate. What's he saying? He's saying that there is the fall of the old all-capital United States of America corporation owned and controlled by the bad guys. And there is a rise of a new nation. Here's what he says. However, battles still remain, the battles remaining will be very aware by the public, not hidden. In other words, you're about to see some battles, and the public is going to be made of them. They're going to be aware of them. Plans do include a world planning organization. Are you listening? Plans do include a world planning organization with approximately 1T of promised funding, a one-time financial jubilee or war. Did you hear that? Let me read it again. A 1T of promised funding, a one-time financial jubilee, war and humanitarian crimes tribunals, isn't that what we've heard? Internal revolution. A new, and I probably shouldn't say those words, you can read them, system governing world military controls. Many of these items have and are being discussed. Each will require future negotiation under the agreements and the New World Planning Organization. Now, let's read what he's talking about. This comes from Benjamin Fulford. The White Hats have won. He says he agrees. The United States and Israel will cease to exist. He and I both agree that's incorrect. Israel will always exist. Now, America won't always exist, but Israel, as long as there's a sun or a moon or stars, there will be an Israel. World peace will begin. Isn't that what we were just talking about something starts in January? You see what I'm saying? This is important stuff. The White Hats have won the secret war for the planet Earth. Okay, now hang on. Is that possible? Yes, but it's only a temporary victory because we know that the Antichrist comes, because God allows the Antichrist to sit on the throne. He gives him 3.5 years to rule the earth. But there's a little interim before that happens, as in just a year or 2 or 3. That's what we're talking about, and that is prophesied. We are now in our interregnum. However, not much will be visible to the public until preparatory work for new institutions and world norms are finished. That's what my white hat banker said. Public announcements are likely in the fall. Nonetheless, here are the rough outlines of what is about to happen. I hope you're listening. I know I'm going a little long, but I think it's worth it. The United States of America Corporation, that's the all caps, will officially declare bankruptcy. Well, we've known it's been bankrupt for 8 years? The Republic of the United States of North America will replace it. That's not exactly the same wording I've heard, but I won't correct it. I'll just leave it lay there. It will build a new capital, possibly in Winnipeg, Manitoba. I have not heard that, and I don't agree with that. The state of Israel will also cease to exist. That's incorrect. It will be replaced by the state of Judea. Also incorrect. The original Judeans, misleading called Palestinians, will manage the new state together with European immigrants. That's incorrect. That only happens briefly until finally Armageddon, but it'll exist up to Armageddon. Both peoples will have equal rights and guarantees of religious and personal freedom. Okay, this is all pipe dream. The United Nations Security Council will be replaced with a 7-member World Council. It will probably be headquartered in Laos. All of this is pipe dreams. I don't think it's going to happen. The members will be representatives from Africa, Americas, China, and East Asia, including China, but including Oceania, Europe, including Russia, India, and the Muslim world. Again, all pipe dreams. Decisions on issues affecting the entire planet. However, it could. Remember, I've said this Palestinian state is probably going to move some major national boundaries. Probably Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia is going to make some major concessions. Not only are they going to kiss and make up to Israel, but they're going to give Israel some massive amounts of land in exchange for the Palestinian state. That's probable. Now, let me go on. The transition process to the new system will start with the Jubilee. That I agree with. This will involve a one-time cancellation of all debts, public and private. That's not what I've heard. It's not private. Okay, it's only bankers and governments. But that's what other sources have said. However, Proverbs 13:22 says the wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just. It also will involve a redistribution of assets. Many acquiring things, a transfer of wealth coming into the hands of believers, said Shane Warren. The details will be worked out in public with feedback from the people, the private sector, governments, and other interested parties. That's probable. There will also be war crime tribunals. That's part of prophecy. We've got 3 or 4 prophecies on that. That's the internal revolution. Together with a truth and reconciliation process to ensure the criminality that infested so many governments and institutions is removed root and branch. That's a pipe dream. That's what they want, but that's not going to happen until Jesus returns. The functional parts of the World Bank, the IMF, and the BIS, etc., will be taken over by the newly established meritocratically staffed future planning organization. Each region will have its own separate future planning sessions. The Western military-industrial complex will be given a new mission. Instead of stealing resources for oligarchs, they will be protecting Earth life. Yeah, this is all pipe dream here. Matter of fact, I'll just skip that. That's pipe dream. The decision mentioned above are a result of years of negotiation between the representatives of the East, West, and South. $100 trillion, okay, that's what my white hat banker said too, worth of gold-backed dollars, it's not dollars, it'll be a whole different currency, will be issued to make these changes possible. Also, as soon as the systems are in place, more funding will be made available to start a massive campaign to end poverty, stop environmental destruction, then massively increase the amount and variety of life. The big breakthrough that made all this possible came last week when Persia gave the U.S. military an ultimatum. Either abandon Israel or watch it be annihilated by nuclear warheads delivered by hypersonic missiles, which we can't stop. And Iran just proved that we can't stop them. We talked about that. So this part may actually be true. It may be that America had to kind of bend the knee because they just demonstrated what they can do, that we can't stop their missiles. We talked about that a week ago. Here's what a U.S. Space Force commander had to say about the situation. Persia has more than 30 nuclear active warheads. Persia and Russia are the only nations that have hypersonic missiles with a speed over Mach 20. The Israelis and the Americans don't have the technology to detect it, let alone intercept them or stop them. This advanced technology from Persia to the U.S. military and alliance scientists under CIC Trump will be given in exchange for peace in the region. That may explain why America forces Israel to give the Palestinians a state. See how this all fit together? Really important stuff. I know I've gone long today, but it's important. The U.S. government has agreed to throw Israel under the bus in exchange for this technology. The U.S. government has sold out Israel, but they have to keep face to the rest of the world. Israel will pay a heavy price once the situation is sorted out. Yeah, well, God is on Israel's side. I can show you many verses that said Israel is going to be raised up to be the richest, most powerful, most strongest nation in the world before Jesus returns. And what does that? Oil. Along with the Spirit of God. An independent Palestinian state will be approved within the United Nations, which is going to be done sooner rather than later. It is most likely that the state of Israel will cease to exist, not going to happen, and all Palestine, Judea will be restored again. No, I think they will give them a Palestinian state, but again, it would be a temporary measure to allow the Israelis time to strengthen the military. Then the Jews will fight for their land. Israel will have to pay war damages to the Palestinian Judean nation. Will have to rebuild the whole nation free for the Palestinians. Not going to happen. It may start, but it's not going to happen. Which means what was left of the Zionist deep state will have to pay for the reconstruction. So, I think I know I went long today, but this is important stuff. This is really important. And I strongly recommend you send this over your friends, neighbors, relatives, because what we're talking about here, we haven't seen these kind of changes in our lifetime. Israel came about in 1948. I was born in 1953. We never saw this. We've never seen these kind of changes. But God has warned us. If we have ears to hear, He has warned us, told us this is coming. Speaking of, if you have money in paper, things like stock market, money markets, things like that, in your IRAs, your 401k, your life savings, don't lose it. I'm not a financial expert. I can't give you financial advice, but I'd suggest you call 800-200-GOLD. You don't want to lose your life savings, especially with what's coming. Now's a good time to have it in gold, and these guys can help you get it in gold and silver. Remember, Shane Warren was told silver will skyrocket far more than gold. Enough said. 800-200-GOLD.